Beautiful day in Southampton. 2025 is off to an amazing start. We're having a great time. You know, I don't know Chili Willy, but I like his style. But today, we're gonna take it to a higher level. So let's break the ice. And I'll show you the way. Hampton Ice. What a life. Yeah,
Jeff, it seems like we're running into a theme here. We got our guests introducing the podcast to us. So, Al, welcome in. We want to get started real quick, jump into this podcast as we normally do. We want to ask you, tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. Well, Hampton Ice is an ice company in Southampton, the Hamptons in New York. We do full service manufacturing, distribution, and service, and focused on the production and delivery of crystal clear, cloud-free, reverse osmosis, alkaline enhanced ice. We do from pretty much the middle of Long Island to Montauk, where I live. The ice factory is in Southampton. It's about 7,000 square feet. It's the old Burkowski factory, actually, who was in business for 20, 30 years, and unfortunately passed away about 10 years ago, and it's been sitting empty for 5 years until we took it over in 2022. So that's how it started. It was serendipitous.
Yeah. Got you. So I assume the bed is not at the ice plant. This isn't at your office?
No. So I live in Montauk, and the ice factory is in Southampton. So I commute 40 minutes, and there's one road that goes from Montauk basically to Southampton. So
I would assume it's not always 40-minute drive, though.
It is for me, because I live in Montauk and I'm doing a reverse commute. In the morning, usually you have all the HVAC companies, all of the contractors coming in to the tip of Long Island. So I can see them coming in as I'm going out, and on the way home, it's the opposite. So I'm waving at them.
You're always like those poor jokers, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Today, we want to welcome in Al Vigno. He is the owner of Hampton Ice in Southampton, New York, as he just mentioned. For the first 20 years of his career, Al worked with hedge funds in the financial industry, but he started his ice company out of the need to fix his own problem, and we'll hear more about that in a few moments. We met Al through his social media, and we thought he'd be an interesting person to meet and get to know and introduce to the ice industry. So it's good to meet you on camera, Al. I wanted to ask you about that switch from the financial industry into the ice industry. Why'd you do that?
I was sick of looking at the screens and following the news. I worked for hedge funds for 20 years, and my last job was a healthcare hedge fund. And I was in charge of everything except picking the stocks. My partner would do that. So I was doing the trading, the marketing, back office accounting, and building the team around him. And I found it very redundant. It felt like I was in front of a slot machine every day and working 12, 15 hours a day for the past 10 years. And we were trading internationally. It was constant. And I wanted to get out for a couple of years, and not because I had anything in mind. I wanted to be a little bit more authentic to myself. I felt like I had to be a little bit more buttoned up in finance.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let my true self out. And then I quit cold turkey. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And I figured I'd take some time off and think about it. Something would come up. And I've always had this penchant for, or passion for, ice. I grew up in Rhode Island. And in every beach town in Rhode Island, there's an ice house. So since I was a kid, we would go to the ice house before we went to the beach. And when I got to the Hamptons, there was no ice house. And I didn't really understand how people got their ice. And you go to the store, obviously, but I'd go to the store, and half the time the freezer would be out. It was always a problem for me to get ice. I have 2.5 acres in Montauk, and I'm back in the day, at least, I was throwing parties, and it's a little bit to a lesser degree nowadays that I'm older. If you have more than 10 people, if you're entertaining more than 10 people, you need more ice than it's in the refrigerator. So you have to go out and get it. And I heard that there were other people having these problems, restaurants in the area getting ice. And people at my house heard me screaming about ice all the time. What do I need to bring to your house? Ice. I was constantly saying it. And my partner now, Nicky Bigliarolo, he has an HVAC company. And he got to telling me a story about when he left HVAC school, he was either going to have an HVAC company or an ice factory. He had the blueprints for it already. He had visited China, looked at the machines that we were about to purchase, and I needed that. I needed that element because I don't have any of that technical skill. I'd never stepped foot in a factory before. So that's how it got going. And then the factory opened up, and next thing we have to fill it with equipment and get the machines, get the freezers going. So that's how it all started. And now it's been all a full throttle for 3 years now.
There's a lot to unpack there that, what you're saying. And when I think about it, obviously, what you like the picture that we showed you in the suit and everything, it looks like you literally and figuratively got to let your hair down, right? So you're not suited up anymore. And just like you said, being able to be yourself. Second thing is, I've never heard of someone saying at the younger age they had a propensity for ice. Yeah, I got this drive for ice, but that's pretty cool. Most of the people we hear, they grew up in an ice plant, things like that, or they just saw a business opportunity. But that's a pretty interesting story you got.
Yeah, I didn't know how much work it would take. Like, people say ice is ice, you freeze water. I don't know how many other people could do what I did. There's a lot of mistakes you make along the way, and you just have to learn through making those mistakes and not making them again. It's a lot of effort. But if you have the effort, and I try to tell my younger crew that I have, a bunch of 22-year-olds, all it takes is effort. And if you have the HVAC guy, which I do have, it's important. The machine's got to work. There's a lot of other elements that I enjoy taking care of, and it's picked up on. Like, we're growing. We grew year after year, and you get signs that other people had your problem, and you spread the word. And we're a pretty tight-knit community over here where people talk, and a lot of the marketing is done just through word of mouth. And if you're growing organically, then we're stepping up the marketing a little bit in year 4 here. But the first 3 years, it was all word of mouth and just going up and down the main highway with a billboarded reefer truck. That's it.
Got a question for you, and I want to keep it on the work side, but I want to show a picture real quick. Was this during your transition phase? Because your hair was still tight, but you look like I'm ready to do something different.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So this is a picture in Newport, Rhode Island. I grew up in Narragansett, Rhode Island, a beach town, beautiful beach town in Rhode Island, and that's Newport. And we used to have investor conferences in Newport. And yeah, that's the shot at Bailey's Beach. I was pitching investors back then, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful there. It really is. It's very Hampton-esque.
It looks like it should go on some type of media copy or something of to our city, come to our beach and become an ice guy.
Yeah.
Several things. I'm going to go through a series of some other pictures here. I don't think I've ever met somebody that came into the ice business that said, I'm not just going to make the cold stuff and sell it in a bag to somebody. I'm going to do craft ice. I'm going to do luges. I'm going to do sculptures. I'm going to do dry ice. I'm going to partner. You didn't start. It doesn't appear to me that you started slow.
Yeah, we try to add I did start slow. I did. I wanted to learn how to do everything myself. So I was physically bagging the ice year 1. We didn't have the bagger in place, and using stickers and bags. And I was bagging the ice. I was delivering the ice. I wanted to figure out how to most effectively, in a timely fashion, get this done. I wanted to learn the routes. And then with that experience, I'm able to train other people on the most efficient way to do it. So I started year 1, it was just bagged ice, and it was just me bagging it. Year two, we implemented the bagger a little bit more. It became a little bit easier. And I had a couple of employees, and we introduced the specialty ice. And then year three, specialty ice. So it's been a process.
Let's talk about that specialty ice. We got quite a few pictures we want to show about that as well. So if you want to talk a few of, if because you're a marketing guy, we can tell that every picture I've seen so far, you have different sunglasses on. So, clearly you like style. And I think that's indicative of just your ability to create. So are you behind these, or did you hire professionals to do some of these shots we see?
It's all me. That one in particular, actually, no, that's a good friend of mine, Dalton, who takes pictures out in the Hamptons. He's pretty popular. He came out for a shoot one day at the main beach that we hang out with at Ditch Plains in Montauk. And that's the one professional shoot that I've done. But everything else is pretty much me with the camera and me learning AI and trying to implement both and trying to remain authentic as I do it. It's a pretty action-packed life in the summer in the Hamptons. So there's constantly content that I can take, and going to these restaurants that are packed with lines out the door. There's emergency calls. There's all of these house parties and events that are taking place. So there's a lot of natural content just, with me pulling out the camera for 10 seconds. So that's how that's developed. And I think people like it.
I love your logo. So I know, Jeff, that's one of the things we looked at.
Yeah. A lot of people have to work hard to create content. In your case, it sounds like you're just pulling out the camera at the right time to document and captivate share that idea and that lifestyle and the values that you have that you bring to your business. So to me, that's the most authentic way of doing it, if you can. So we really like the logo being high. Hampton Ice, of course, it just grabs you. Yeah. But Ethan did point out, we have in the image right up there, you can see the 8. What's the significance of the 8?
Oh, that was the first sticker. Before we knew the IPIA rules that require pounds next to the 8. So that was 8 pounds, and we had one with 20 and we had one with 50. So early on, you don't know, like, compliance wise, you don't see any rules really on ice. Now there's the IPIA, who's the FDA of ice, and you learn that later on. I'm just trying to see if I could sell a bag of ice year one, and year two, okay, all this compliance comes in. You have the town, you have the building, and then you have the IPIA, and they introduce these new things to you. Well, you need to have LBS next to the 8. You need to have the weight on the bag, the address, the phone number, all of these compliance things that I thought I got away from when I left finance.
You're like, I got long hair, man. I don't need these rules.
Because growing with the hedge fund, it was like the more you grow, the more compliance there is. And that's, I like being young and figuring things out, but not having to follow the rules as closely that year one. But now it's like, all right, now we have all our ducks in a row and we have all the certificates and all of everything we need. So we can show that when we go after the big boxes.
I have a question here as we get through a few of these other photos that we have, and just really well done on the marketing side of it. But I did have a question. I don't think this is how craft ice is supposed to work. I think it's now give it another hour or two, that'll get inside there. But I didn't know if that was, what was going on with this photo.
That's an early photo. You can tell that it was pretty piss poor year one. And I've been doing a little better now.
It grabs a person's attention. That's the main key.
Yeah, that's great.
Very cool. So I guess my question is, why did you try to tackle all of these things so quickly? Was it just the nature of the community that you're trying to serve? They have all these different requests between the sculptures and the luges and the craft ice. And I think you do dry ice now as well, right?
A few of the things are outsourced. So we have some friends in New York that help us out with the dry ice. Not Tuesday in close to the city. They help out with the dry ice. They've ordered a specialty ice for me a few times. And I have a sculptor in Long Island that does great work. So we outsource that sort of thing. We haven't got to the point to bring someone in the house. Now the ball machine was just something I was excited about from the beginning that we ordered with the two 20-ton machines that we have. So it was just a nice compliment on the side. And once we got that running, this machine is pretty nice in that it's like a giant drill bit that just comes down on a block of ice and carves the ball and spits them out the side, and you can make probably like 1,000 a day. So those are pretty easy to make rather than the mold, which takes it's a lot of manual labor. And the specialty ice it's not easy. It's not like the packaged ice. It's not really a moneymaker either. The amount of labor, the amount of liability that goes into it, you need to have somebody paying attention. You're not just picking up a bag and throwing it on the pallet or throwing it in the fridge. You got to focus, and you run the numbers. And what are you going to charge for one square, one ball? Initially, a restaurant, they're taking back like $1 a piece. What are you talking about? I got to order. It's shocking when you factor in all the labor and everything else that goes into it. You could get the cost probably 50 cents, 60 cents, but I don't know how anybody's making any money if you're not charging. Now, out in the Hamptons, you could charge a little bit more. People are looking for those things for
They'll pay more for that ice. Say, hey, you want craft ice, single ball, you want it, $2.50 more, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And I see some penny pound ice out in Cali. They do specialty ice and a great job with their program. And they're charging, I see some stores charging $30 for 5 balls or 6 balls. So they're selling out in LA. So maybe they probably sell here too.
A little warmer in Cali, right?
It is year round. Yeah.
Yeah,
5
you're
month
right.
blitz here.
We don't always like to, we try not just to talk about work and everything. We'd like to know a little bit about your family. You shared a few photos with us that we would like to show here in just a moment, and just tell us about the family dynamics and things like that you got going.
Sure. So my mom, she was born in Italy. She came over with 7 sisters and 1 brother from Italy and landed in Providence, Rhode Island. And it's a big family. Started out in Providence, but we have beach houses. We constantly went to the beaches in Rhode Island, which is Narragansett and Newport. And a lot of those days, we would always go to the ice house before we went to the beach. And there were loading docks. You would fill up your coolers before you went to the beach. And it was just like daily practice for us, especially during the summer. And we spent all of our summers in the beach. Still to this day, we have a beach house right on Boone Street in Narragansett, and I go back there all the time. So, yeah, that's my family. I'm going back this weekend for Easter Sunday.
Cool. We're going to go back to the pictures real quick because there were several of them. So I assume this is Little Al.
That's me. That's in Providence. I don't know what I'm wearing there. Jesus. My mom sent me these pictures.
I assume, is this your mom and you, I would assume, sitting on the hood of this Ford Capri?
Yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then we got somebody here. I'm not sure which one, but this guy right here, he's straight up flexing. Look at that. He's popping those triceps. Is that you, or are you the one on the bars?
That's me, and that's my brother, Tony, who is still in Rhode Island. Yeah, I have a nephew. His son looks just like him in that picture. It's pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you for sharing some of the family photos.
So
my mom will get a kick out of it.
So I want to go ahead and ask your first icebreaker question. While I was getting to know you through social, I saw this interesting quote from I'm guessing one of your friends that hangs with you all the time. He says, "You can always tell where you are in summer by the length of Al's hair." I wanted to get your reaction and maybe get you to take your hat off for a second and let people see where you're at right now.
Here we go.
All right.
All
So
right.
this is, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can hear me now that you got your headphones off, but so this is pre-summer hair level, I guess.
Pre-summer cut. I got it cut at the end of last summer, October, but I've just let it fly since. Yeah, that's a nice perk of not having to wear a suit every day and go into
Yeah.
the office in I had departed Mad Men look back in the day, and now I grow my hair out. Wow, I could go to work with no shirt and no shoes. It's we're in a beach type atmosphere, so it's conducive of that type of uniform.
Yeah, sticking to that and some things that you have on your website. We'll flip over to that real quick. And it's What a Life. And you talk about that in its reference several times. And we're going to have to get you there at the bottom part. And we're going to make this bigger for the audience. So if you're listening, if you want to pause and read this, we'll let you do that. There's two things I really wanted to point out. And then I wanted to get your comments on here. Keep eating that garlic. Let's keep rolling somewhere there. And then it's talking about, I don't want to bastardize what it says after yes to success. EY. Yeah. Anyway, you're going to have to say that to us. But tell about this mantra or what this is.
I think it's Yeshua or something
all
like
right.
that.
Well, he gave it a go.
That's my stab at it. Go for it.
EW AH SHEW AH. That's how you say it. And I can't take credit for it. Doc John Kavanaugh is a good friend of mine from the beach. And if you click on that Instagram link right there, it's him giving that very speech about just his daily mantra. And I think it was the day I met him, he was telling me about this energy, this feeling of Yahwashua, and the higher vibration you put out there is the higher vibration that will come back to you. Okay. And it's an energy, it's a feeling, and there's a lot of negativity out there. And everybody's pretty happy when the ice guy shows up. So I try to equal that positivity. The ice guy's showing up, good times are about to be had. And I come in hot. I really do. Like if somebody has an activation going on, if somebody wants a luge, an emergency luge, I've had a couple of those. I'm coming in and I'm like putting on a show.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're an entertainer. Yeah.
Yeah, and to the whatever extent that they want. Some people they want to be a little more bougie. They don't need that action, but to the extent that you need a little, people want activations. They want to provide people with something to do, and a luge or a distraction like where you could get people involved in and make content from that. And have people post, and it feeds on itself. So I like to promote my clients too. Why not? The more ice they sell, the more, the better they're doing, the better I'm doing. So, and I like the nervous energy that comes from a manager where their ice machine is not keeping up and they have to call me. They're happy because they're doing so much business that the ice machines can't keep up, and they're a little nervous too that they can't provide ice. So and then I show up. It's like, all right, save the day.
Save the day. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I got a question with that. So you come in hot. What percentage of the time have they asked you to hang around, or you just decide to hang around and enjoy the party? I know it's happened. You can't convince me that it has not happened, that they said, hey, you got to hang around and finish this out with us.
To be honest, it's so busy in the summer that there isn't a lot of time to hang out. And because I choose to take on I love to drive a truck around, and it's just one after another. Sometimes I can hang out for a little bit. The late night one, I get calls between 11 and 2 a.m. sometimes, mostly around here. And I store some ice at my house so I can get there quick. But by the time it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I probably hang out, but I got to wake up at 7 the next day to make a couple more deliveries. Hopefully I build some kind of infrastructure where, I could do a little bit more hanging out. But
Yeah.
The desire, even if you have been able to, I know the desire's there, so I can tell. So,
the desire's there, yes.
yeah.
So, in your company bio, and even when you were talking about your company at the beginning, you talk about that you guys use UV filtration, reverse osmosis, and that kind of stuff. How did you decide to get to that level of about the level of premium ice that you want to deliver?
I wanted to deliver a better product than what was out there. And it started with I wanted to have full cubes in bags. There's not many companies that, at least around here, I'm talking about my geo, that provide full cubes in bags, like restaurant quality ice. So it started there, and then the reverse osmosis was my partner. Kudos to him. He said, reverse osmosis, you've been hearing a lot more about the PFAS that's in tap water, and it's increasing year over year. And PFAS is the chemical that causes cancer, and it's been increasing. And the one filtration method that eliminates the PFAS is reverse osmosis. So it started there, and then we had the UV light after that, and then this year we've introduced the alkaline enhancement. That's you're seeing a lot more of this pH plus and hydration. So we added that at the end of our process, and now we have that element too. So it's there's not a lot of companies out there that do filtration of their tap water, at least around here, and even the larger companies. I'll call Arctic out because they're just a huge conglomerate. I don't see that they say it's pure, and I'm not sure if they're filtrating. They're not stating they are, but it was just another element that we can differentiate
Yeah.
to.
Anything you can do to set yourself apart from the competition, and certainly in a higher end demographic in the country, that's what folks are looking for, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and wellness, Maha, like it's a big trend, green and boutique markets. And so people are paying attention to it a lot more. So I just hopping on that train.
Yeah. If you weren't an Iceman, what would you be doing today? And it sounds to me like it's what you want to do, but if that was off the table, what would you be doing today? And you can't fall back to your old career either. I'm not going to allow that one as an answer.
God, I don't know. I'd probably be like a concierge type of job where I'm hosting. I enjoy it. I still enjoy it to this day. I have 2.5 acres in Montauk, and it's just a layout. It's a fisherman's cottage in the middle of 2.5 acres. And even on the side now, like I have events. I have like wedding receptions. I've had a couple of weddings, and I've done a couple of wellness events where people have come and set up tents and thrown like conferences. I do it on a smaller scale here because I have the ice business, but I think I would probably go full throttle in being an event. We have a lot of connections around here as far as music and food and alcohol and everything that's conducive to throwing a wedding or a party. And the further we go, the more I'm introduced to promoters and other people within the hospitality industry. So it's a very natural progression into hosting events.
Yeah. Well, I hear you like people, you like making people happy and all that. That certainly makes sense. It exudes in your personality for sure.
Yeah. I saw a lot of images in your social media where you're doing ice plunges. And I think that's one of the categories of events that you participate in or organize or that kind of thing. I think we'll go ahead and show some of those images. We'll have to put them in post-production because our tech is being a little funky this morning. But I wanted to ask you, do you still plunge a lot? Do you plunge daily? What's your take on ice plunging?
This is another thing. It's a trend that I didn't. So I'm putting together a one page or a presentation, a business plan together for, I had a few investors that came in from my finance days. I'm like, They knew I did pretty well in finance, and they thought I was crazy to launch an ice factory out of the blue, but they believed in me. They knew I was crazy for it. So one of the things I did not factor into my business plan was wellness, like ice baths. All of a sudden, ice baths are a thing.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of ice bath clients. And then Ice Barrel, who makes a high quality ice barrel that you can move around, carry around, they sent me 5-6 ice barrels that like promote it to the people in the Hamptons. And they've had, now there's wellness events where you have a sauna, you have Pilates class, you have people will throw these wellness wonderland type of events. And it's getting even bigger now. I don't know if you guys have seen the coffee and chill parties that are happening in Miami right now.
I have not, no.
You gotta see, I mean, they're DJ, and it's a sober mocktail type of event where it's coffee and chill, and there's 1,000 people there. Crazy.
I am so you plunge yourself. Are you a plunger yourself?
Not really. For a wake-up call, yeah. For a shot of adrenaline.
All right. I'm a plunger. I do that, and I enjoy it. Okay. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy the after effect. I've talked about it a couple times on this podcast, and I've done the research and things like this. And again, I always tell people, even that I do it, if you're considering it, consult your doctor, right? Make sure you can handle that, because it is a shock to the system, but it is a welcome shock to my system. I recently had surgery on my left shoulder about 8 or 9, 10 weeks ago, and I wasn't able to get in because I couldn't get out. Okay. I would have been getting in, but again, I had to get a forklift and drag me out with my other arm. So I wasn't able to do it. I'm getting back into it, but I've even talked like with some physical therapy places around here. I think it'd be a good business line for them to have a couple of these sitting there. And whenever they wrap up with a PT session, hey, $10, $15, do a 5-minute plunge and be a business model for that. I've thought about it, but not enough that I want to get into that game. But that's pretty cool that you saw that opportunity. You weren't just sitting on the sidelines. And plus, when they buy that barrel, they need a resource that you have.
Exactly. They have to fill it. So I have a couple individual clients, and then now some gyms have called me and wanted barrels for the day. So I rent them out on occasion. And I don't think there's any stopping it. I have a couple barrels on my deck right now, and people come over and hop in. It's easy for me to throw 50 pounds in a bag.
Now, these just random people that walk by, or you invited them over?
We're gonna put a stop to the random people. I already told my friend. It's too many random people. We have to be quality over quantity.
Yeah, so, no randos strolling through, because you do have to keep the water somewhat clear. You don't want to fill up an 80, 100-gallon barrel all the time. So somebody can't take care of their hygiene. So. Keep
the riffraff out. I have a couple of those friends. So they know who they are.
So while we're talking about different avenues of your business, you mentioned that you have an angle with Penske Trucks, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that. Do you have a partnership with Penske or some kind of arrangement?
Yes. So Penske was an interesting way to supplement some of my income. There's 7,000 square feet in Southampton isn't cheap. And we didn't need that much space initially. So I was looking for ways to supplement some of the income and get rid of some of our operating expenses. One of those ways was Penske. And I noticed that a couple of places around us were either like they have a bunch of budget trucks out front or a bunch of U-Hauls in their driveway. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is there a partnership? Is there a collaboration that goes on? And Penske, we had started renting reefer trucks from them for weeks at a time during the busy weeks. I think it was year 2, we finally needed something big enough where we needed a reefer. We were using like little mini trailers year 1 and most of year 2. So it was just a natural, I hit Penske up. I'm like, we have 15, 16 spots in our parking lot that we could utilize. There isn't a Penske in the Hamptons. there isn't much of a U-Haul presence. And when all the small businesses come back here in the summer and leave at the end of the summer, they need a Penske, and we need Penske. We need the reefers. Then they were like, okay, it sounds great. We're like right off 27 on the main highway across from the Jitney, which is the bus that comes in from the city. And year one, we did, I don't know, 200,000-300,000 in sales. And there's a nice little commission on the side for us. And we have the convenience of logistics. So it's just like, it's been a match made in heaven. Hopefully we double the business now that people know that we do Penske's too on the side. It's just, and it's easy. All we got to do is check them out. They make the reservation, give them the keys, fill out the form, and done. It's 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
You're kind of keeping that with the Ice Barrel, with Penske. Those are opportunities that have come available to you. As a newcomer, a relative newcomer to the ice industry, what do you see the future of the ice industry? Do you got anything else, or you just go with the flow as things come across my desk?
I don't know why there's not an ice brand out there, a nationally recognized ice brand. You could name me 10, 20 waters off the top of your head, bottled waters. You can name me 5 ice creams. You can name me, there's 80 granolas on this shelf, and you can't name me an ice brand, a nationally recognized ice brand. And there's some huge conglomerates like Reddy and Arctic, and they don't promote, they don't brand. There's no branding behind them, and they don't try. I don't get it. Ice is fun, and like, why hasn't somebody? There's a new energy drink out every year. There's a new gut drink out every year. So this was working off that. I don't know how much. I'm taking it year over year and trying to expand. And next natural progression will be New York City. I want to keep it beach centric, Nikki Beach type of thing, where they're in the popular beach towns across the states. So I think that's where my thinking is, but yeah, that's
the marketing aspect of it, right? And you're right. I've never seen an advertisement ever on any type of commercial for ice and selling ice and come buy my ice. I've never seen any of that. You see all the products that people utilize, right? You see, you've even seen those commercials where they've got what the BASF, we don't make the products you buy, but we make the products you buy better. You don't even know who the heck they are, and they're advertising on that. And I guess I've really never thought about it that way, but yeah, you're right.
And there's no other podcast than Breaking the Ice too, right? About ice. There's a lot of other opportunities to be had. Everybody needs ice. Every sector, every industry. Think about alcohol. Think about whiskey. How many years did it take to make that whiskey? 30 years. Think about the processes they go through to make that whiskey. Then they're just pouring it over frozen tap water. It's weird. I don't understand. I mean, it doesn't really where Bullet could be, where a Woodford could be, or on the side of my trucks. There's advertising opportunities there. Nobody's really radio stations in the back of bags sometimes, but nobody's really taking advantage of the the advertising platform that exists on the freezers in front of all the shops and the gas stations. That's potential advertising real estate. I don't know. I think there's just so much for me to think about, and I can only focus on the problem of the day. But I believe the penetration and potential is infinite.
I think Al wakes up in the middle of the night thinking about ice. I will tell you.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
Ask my 3 ex-girlfriends.
What I think you just encapsulated, though, is there's all these potentials. I love hearing them, but the average ice guy out there that's running an ice business, whether he's the owner, the manager, or whatever, they're worried about today. What do I have to do to survive another day? What do I need to do to make it through this summer? And sometimes maybe it takes someone mentioning something off the wall that jogs their memory, and they say, I thought about that one time. I really need to do something with that. And hopefully they're watching 40 minutes into our interview today, and they've heard something that they go, oh, wait a second. I have an opportunity there. So
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the IPIA. You had mentioned that earlier, Al, about what they've been able to do and the strides that association's been able to make, whether it's at the DC level and trying to promote ICE's food and coming up with those standards that everybody can adhere to and pushing that envelope to get the awareness more out there. Because you talk about the ice that you put into a cooler to cool the drink, and if that's not sanitary, but what do you do as soon as you pop that top? You're putting it to your lips and you're consuming some of that residual around the lid. Even if you don't think you're consuming the ice, you're still getting some of that product in you.
Yeah, I'm glad the IPIA exists. Like, even I took that 22-hour food course with IPIA at the beginning of the year, and it was just, you had to be in front of the screen the whole time in order to get credit for it. And it's amazing how much I just picked up on through osmosis, just, and to be able to fix a lot of the compliance stuff that we had just through that class. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's worthwhile.
Yeah. All right. So when you're not thinking 24 hours of about ice and you get to that hour 25, 26 in the day, what's your hobby or your interest that you're not doing in those 24 hours?
Plants.
Plants. All right.
okay.
Plants. I discovered my green thumb like 2-3 years ago, and they're out of control now. I haven't bought a plant in a couple of years, but they multiply, and I have probably 300-400 of them.
You got one reaching out, touching you right now. So, you know, it's right there on your left arm. It's saying hello to you.
Yep, this one right here. Yeah, not a yellow leaf in sight.
Al's second passion.
Yeah. Well,
Plants.
my wife would love to learn some tips because
Just gonna show them love.
She kills small.
Yawashiwa.
Oh, she didn't have the phrase.
Yeah, well, you got to give it to her.
I talk to them. They're people. They're alive, just like we are. They feel. They know where. Actually, I heard something that they know within, I don't know, it's like 50 miles of whether you're close to them. They feel it. So yeah, they feel it just like we do.
I think this is a perfect time to bring up our last icebreaker. So.
During our getting to know you through emails, you said you could ask me anything. You could ask me about the moon landing. So I want to ask you. Tell me about the moon landing.
Let's get to rocking. Oh, absolutely.
Let's just say that there's a lot of things on TV that you see them enough, and it just seems like a narrative that's not what I'm seeing with my eyes. And it's tough to trust whatever you hear. And I'm at a point where if I don't see it with my own two eyes, I don't necessarily believe it. Like, why should I believe one thing and not this thing? And then once you get into that argument, it's either you believe everything or you don't. There's no, all right, I'm going to believe this, I'm going to believe that, I'm going to believe this. I only believe what I see with my own two eyes, really.
Oh, wow.
Right. Now, do you think I know there's theories out there that the moon is some type of superstructure. And I don't know if you've ever watched a series. It's called Alien Resident. It's on sci-fi.
I've seen everything. Okay, I've gone down every rabbit hole, every one. Right,
yeah. Let's just pick one. We'll go with it. Do you think it's a superstructure?
What's that?
The moon. Do you think it's a superstructure or is it actually a planet, a moon?
Oh, like, I'm not a flat earther. All right. So I believe the landing. I mean, you take a look at some of those videos back, it's tough. Like, in retrospect, of course. At the time, I don't know. I'm up in the air.
Yeah, fair enough. I think we had our fun with it.
Yeah.
There's lots of things I look at. I'm like, if you're getting the video of coming off it's just, there's just things that make you think but
then you look at this Katy Perry mission this week, right? And they sent up a bunch of females and
yeah,
it's staged, but it's not. But Yeah, even
My-
today, forget about 60 years ago.
My favorite part was they were talking about all the training that they did. Did
Mm.
you hear about this?
I just saw Katy Perry came down after 10 or 12 minutes and kissed the ground.
Yeah.
But I'm not
They-
sure I wouldn't after an event like that. So
Fair. But the training, they listed in bullet points what they had to train to do. They had to learn how to get in the cockpit, they had to learn to get out of the seat, and they had to learn how to buckle.
yeah, I think I got that training
I mean-
about a year and a half old, so maybe 2. Appreciate you letting us ask you and have a little bit of fun with that question. So we're almost out of time. We've only got only time for a couple more questions. I really wanted to ask about, we hear a lot about tariffs coming along. You had mentioned China earlier. Any thoughts on that or how it may affect your business and moving forward? Just tariffs in general for you or the Iceman in general?
Yeah, just getting back I don't really have a political dog in this fight. I have an opinion, but when it comes to tariffs and how it affects Hampton Ice, we ordered our machines from China, our 10-ton machines. So we have all of the equipment already. We don't have to really worry about them going forward. But it really puts, if I were to order more machines over there, they'd be double the price. And they do great work over there. We have an engineer from China. Their customer service is amazing. We're able to translate a lot of the communication through my partner, HVAC, and if there are any problems. And everything is made in China. And I just feel like there's not a lot of people here that can work with their hands. I don't know many people at the labor rate and at the quality even. They're really good. They're meticulous. They have the supply chain already in place. And for us to bring back manufacturing to America, it's not going to happen like that. It's going to happen slowly. And I'm seeing it. I tried to order some things here in the States, like my bags for my bagger, and even freezers, the freezers that you see in front of the gas stations and convenience stores and whatnot. Like, there's a time lag. It takes 6 weeks to get freezers. It takes 6 weeks to turn bags around. All right, so now you can't order them from China anymore. This goes with every product. Your phone, forget it. Everybody's got, this is 80% China. It's going to be that much more expensive, and is the quality going to be there? It remains to be seen how this plays out. But it's fascinating. I try not to think about it too much.
Oh, and I agree. I have my opinions. I would say just as a society as a whole, if the majority and they get elected, we do need to give people time to work their plans out, and the proof will be in the pudding. And again, I have my own leanings, but I also think people need to have time to reason things out and see how their plan can work. Even if I disagree with it, I still love this country. I want success in this country. And we are a constitutional republic, the majority, and the way that we work in our system. I still love this country a great deal. So I'm interested to see how this pans out.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can bring it locally. I need the local suppliers. We all do.
I was interested to hear this guy talking about supply chain and the hiccups that we could be introducing with the changes on again, off again, tariffs, that a lot of the vendors and suppliers that supply components to what you're wanting to order suddenly don't know what to do with their business, don't know how to project. And so I hope things smooth out. I hope that, like Ethan said, things work out well in the long term for America, but it does introduce all kinds of challenges to all kinds of businesses.
Yeah, and he tends to anchor very high, and then he comes in. He did it with everyone else, and you're playing that waiting game though, because as soon as he introduces the tariffs, that night pretty much your product is double. All right, and then so next week, maybe he cuts it in half. All of a sudden, if I'm spending $50,000 on bags, it becomes $100,000, right? And then the next week it's down to to 75. So for a small business like us, it's affecting us in that manner.
Just double your price, Al. People understand.
Hey,
But
you know what? There's a $50 lobster roll up the street. So
That's
All right. One of the last questions we got for you, Al. We know you're a relative newcomer to the industry, but we want to ask, what advice would you give to ice companies out there in 2025? Do you have any sage advice? Or
I need the advice. I don't know. It's tough being a newcomer. I'd say like it's a pretty old industry, and I do have some people that do business with us, and I think competition is healthy though. I really do. I think competition increases the quality of everyone, because if I'm doing something new, then it makes others brings the level playing field up. So I think the quality of the product goes higher. If you don't have no competition, then you don't care what the ice looks like, or you don't care about marketing, or I think it elevates all businesses. No, I have nothing. I'm still learning. I'm learning every day.
Embrace competition. I think that's good advice. Yeah, 100%. Al, we are out of time. We appreciate it so much for you jumping in with us, and we look forward to hearing more about your story and your success and everything that you're doing. We've been coming to you from the Routeman Studios here from KCS headquarters in Pelham, Alabama. And for me and Jeff, we just really appreciate again you joining us today.
yeah. Thanks, Al.
That was fun. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. My first podcast, so
Yeah.
Awesome.
see how we do.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day.